Thank you guys for having me. My name is Ivalio Ivanov. I'm the CTO of BGO Software, and I'm going to present you a method to optimize clinical trials budgeting. And if you allow me a short parallel from the previous panels and talks, we have been talking a lot about the future, but I'm going to talk about the present and basically to try to show you a way how to optimize the daily lives of the people and the professionals who are heavily involved in managing clinical trials from administrative perspective. Because most of these people have much more important things to do than to fiddle with technology and use endless systems to input data. Now, the topics we are going to cover, the first one is the challenges which are being faced by the organizations and the people who are managing clinical trials from a financial perspective, both budgeting and payments tracking. The second topic is to actually present you the simple methodology which can improve and speed up that process and actually make people spend less time with the systems but focus on what's important and the actual patient care and the process of guiding the patients through the clinical trials. And finally, we're going to talk about what are the gains, what's the benefit for an organization, let's say a hospital or clinical research center, to have this specialized software or specialized methodology to execute clinical trials budgeting and payments tracking. So let's see the standard clinical trial financial activities which are being performed by the people who deal with that on a daily basis, financial experts, clinical trial coordinators, and basically people who facilitate that process. And we can see that about 30% of their time is the actual managing of budgets and paperwork. So they need to prepare, for example, different budget variations to calculate financial risks for the organization, being it a hospital or research center or for-profit organization. Also, they constantly need to handle contract changes which are coming by the clinical trial sponsors, adjust payments, and many other things. But in comparison, the more time and the more hassle which comes from this administrative process is the actual payments tracking, which is the actual trials execution from the perspective of the administrators. And having a multinational trial with, for example, and multi-site trials, it's really difficult, for example, to keep track on which procedures are executed on the patients, or how far we are in the patient journey for a particular protocol, and which site performed which activities and when. Also, an important bit is to track payment milestones, and basically, if an organization needs to be effective, it needs to know when it should expect, let's say, payment from the sponsors and to be able to keep the whole process alive. And last but not least, there are too many sites in the financial, how to say, when the organization executes the clinical trial, there are too many stakeholders and they have their payments and receivables, etc. So this part is also quite time-consuming. And this amount of time could be enormous and quite a heavy burden for the people who are dealing with it. And we often could ask ourselves why that happens and what can we do to improve the situation and make this a bit more effective. Because at the end of the day, the patient is who will be beneficial from that and from this process and to have more efficient clinical trials. There are a few key reasons which makes that difficult, and the first one, as we've mentioned, is the complexity of the financial relationships. As you can see in this small diagram, there are too many stakeholders and too many relationships to manage, especially from payment perspective. And having a standardized way to approach it is something which is absolutely needed, because many people are dealing with it using some common tools like Excel or spreadsheets and notebooks and whatever they can find. But at the end of the day, this is not consistent at all. And facts like decentralized information, something which is always a problem in an organization, the information is scattered across different media, like emails, files, different databases, and hundreds of places where you need to look for the final version of the document or a contract or something. So, how would we do it properly, and how we manage budgets in a more efficient way? There's 3 phases of this, and if we use specialized software, if they are followed in the right way, then it will be much easier for the organization to tackle this problem. The first phase is the actual study preparation phase, and when there's a new study coming from the sponsor to your organization, the first thing is to make sure that you have up-to-date price list of the services of the organization, plus also information about the pricing of all of the contractors which are used by the organization. Because in many cases it cannot handle the study on its own, it needs to rely on contractors and different partners in a way. The second step is to define the study protocol, which probably many of you know. This is the schedule of visits and procedures which need to be performed during the study. And modeling this, if you make it manually using some common software, could be a quite time-consuming task. So this is also the key prerequisite to follow the steps down the line. And all the budget preparation phases and the study tracking phases, they all rely on the protocol and how it's being structured by the sponsor and how it was modeled by the organization which executes the trial. And the budget preparation phase, as many of you know probably, there are 2 key components of the budget. We track the income and the costs, and from them we form the profit for the organization. So the sponsor budget originates completely from the protocol and from the information which the sponsor gives us budget to the organization which executes the trial. But the cost component, actually, it comes from the services and the prices of the services we provide. If we have these 2, it's the next step is that there could be simulations which could be made, some optimistic, pessimistic budgets depending on the actual recruitment of patients, for example, or the quality of services we can get from different providers. And finally, when we do these simulations and find out the most efficient budget for us, and the organization can decide, okay, it's efficient for us to perform this study, we can move to the execution and the tracking phase, which consists of tracking the relationships between the research sites or the physicians who attend to the study, because there are key operations which need to be made by them, like performing the procedures, reporting that these procedures are done, etc. And also the progress tracking of the patient across the study, how many patients have been went through particular visits, how many procedures have been made, and the ability to monitor all of this in real time, like to have one-click view of the whole study, and to be able to make quick decisions. If we go to the benefits part and the gains which are for the organization, there are 3 key things. First of all, managing budgets and the administrative work which is done by people in the hospitals and organizations, they're quite quite diverse. They follow different patterns, different templates. Everybody does it the way he thinks should be done. But if you have a standardized methodology, it's really good for business retention, and if some people are being trained to do that, it's much easier to onboard new people, for example, and who can follow the same method, the same steps, and to have this common practice. Then the second key benefit is the single source of truth. Basically, all the information related to the study and the most recent arrangements with the sponsor, for example, or our contractors, they are on single place, and we always could know what's the final arrangement and where we can find it. And the final bit is the ability to make quick financial decisions and to keep the things in control when executing the study. Because in many cases, when there's new prospect and we need to evaluate whether we can, it's efficient for us to execute the study, we need to do some simulations and return back quickly to the sponsor so we can say, yes, we can do it, or no, we don't have the capability, or we are not cost efficient enough, for example. So using this standardized methodology, we can get at least 2 to 5 times more time to spend on more important tasks instead of fiddling with different tools and different ad hoc solutions which we've made manually just to do our job. But it's also important to know that technology should be a tool. It should reduce the burden of the people who are working in healthcare, because there is too much technology nowadays, and it needs to be used smart. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if there are any questions, we are out there at the booth.